Welcome back, everybody, to Redeemed Marriage. I am Jeff. This is
Rachel.
And today is Valentine's Day, and we are celebrating our love for each other. And I thought we'd talk about wedding vows. Wedding vows, as we know them, were written back in 1549. Did you know that, honey?
I just found out recently.
Yeah. And it was from the Archbishop of Canterbury wrote them out in the Book of Common Prayer, which is pretty exciting to know that something like that, just a prayer for marriage, has lasted, we're in 2020, the past 500 years.
Wow.
Almost. So we're going to be talking about to have and to hold, better and worse, richer or poor, sickness and health, to love, cherish, and obey, and all that stuff, and what that means, and what the marriage vows have meant to us, and how we've lived those out, or at least tried to. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay. What? I thought you were gonna talk more about that.
Oh, to have and to hold? Okay. I will talk more about that. You know, we said from the beginning that we were going to kind of fly by the seat of our pants a little bit, and that's what I don't do best sometimes. So, to have and to hold, if you think about it, to have, I have my bride, I hold her, and I'm receiving her into my life. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 24, it says that, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh." And so, a couple of things that I found out, that cleave actually means two things. One, in the farming, is to cleave is to kind of cut off and separate, but the cleave they're speaking about here, that definition also means to stick to, like glue, which is also a great Sugarland song that we so love. And
Stuck like glue.
stuck like glue.
See ya.
Forever.
Yeah.
And also I was thinking of the kind of for me growing up, the kind of picture perfect family was always seen on Leave It to Beaver, and their last name is
Cleaver.
Cleave. There you go. So God ordained that we be joined together, that we would become one flesh. That it's the picture of marital intimacy. Cleaving to our spouse means recognizing that you are joined, essentially glued to your spouse. Cleaving is the key to building a marriage that will endure hard times and be oh man. I just keep getting all tongue-tied.
That's okay.
I was just so in love with you.
Aww.
And it's just so great. But
So,
yeah, that's it.
whose device is that?
My device. I'm popular.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Are we going YouTube, famous, and people are calling you right now?
No.
No? Oh, okay. All right. So, I'm going to talk about the better or for worse. So, when you think of that, it is definitely easy to hit the road, Jack, when sounded good, and not look back when things are tough and not going so well. So it is actually harder to stay and invest and keep pushing on and trying to work things out in the worst of it all. So I feel that I always like to remember that love is an action, not just a feeling, and love is a decision. So you are deciding to stay and to be committed. Like, commitment is just something that I feel that just doesn't really matter. A lot of times, you know, you made this commitment, you took all of these vows, but then you just want to bow out when things get hard. So I really think that when we really consider that love is a decision that you're going to keep pressing on and not just give up when things get hard is really important, because, and not just, you know, the little warm fuzzy feeling you get when you think of love and relationships and everything, because those will come and go. It ebbs and flows, and you'll have seasons where things might not be, you know, and that you have like, oh my gosh, you know. So when you hear people say like, oh, we just fell out of love, or, you know, all of those things and everything, it's like, yeah, you know, I don't see it that way. I really do see it as, you know, as the commitment and not basing your relationship off of feelings, because if we're fighting, or if I'm mad, or something is going on, or there's some big thing, then if I'm basing my whole relationship off of that, then we'd be, you know, divorced. So you can't really base your relationships off of your feelings and how you're feeling. You know, you could be ticked off and fighting and this and that. So, you know, if we really based everything off of that, then you probably really wouldn't be together. I know that we wouldn't be together if I would have based every single thing off of, you know, how I felt. And, you know, you can be so reactive and everything too. So I definitely say that you really should just keep in mind that it is, you know, for better or for worse. And it is like those times when things get hard, and just sticking together and not giving up and pushing through and persevering, because things will be hard. You know, they may be, you know, good for a moment, but there's things that come up. There's stress, there's kids, there's, you know, finances, there's illnesses, there's, I mean, you know, there's the gamut of life and all of the different things that go into it. So, you know, you could lose your job, whatever it is, and that stress can come in and start causing, you know, havoc in your relationship. So it is just being together and coming together as one. And one thing that I have learned when we were going through counseling was, like, my counselor would always say, like, your spouse is not your enemy. You know, even to remember, even like if you're fighting and you like, just to remember that your spouse isn't your enemy. And I think that will help too, like for this verse, better or worse. Do you have any input on that?
Yes, I think that when you're going through it, you're in the weeds, and it doesn't seem like you can get out, I think that, you know, that's a real big building block of strength, of being able to get through that and being like, look what we just got through. You know, just went through hell and back, and now, you know, we're this much better, we're this much stronger, we're this much more connected together because we've gone through this shared experience. And whether, you know, for better or for worse, it really, I think, will build you up. And just like you were saying, I think when it's that it is easy to give up. It's easy just to stop. If you're running a marathon and you can't do mile 1, it's easy just to quit, you know? Why not? Why continue going through all the punishment and the pain and the hurt, and, you know, you can't even catch your breath. So, you know, that's why I think just having those, just the vows of marriage is good, because it kind of starts you off with, you know, this is going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be good times and bad times, and things are going to come up that will challenge you and test you. But ultimately, perseverance is the way, is what will pay off. Everything will pay off in the end.
And I think that grace is a big part of marriage, and so much grace that you have to give, and if you have followed our Facebook page, I recently posted something Stephen Furtick had, a really great illustration about offenses, and they can really start eating at you, and make you start like questioning and thinking things and everything like that. So it was a really good illustration on that, and how to kind of get over and forgive, and just forgiving quickly the little offenses. They're gonna come, and they a lot of times it's not even like a purposeful thing. He really broke it down really good in this video and explained it at a great length. So it's definitely worth checking out. So it's just being able to give the grace that God gives us to each other, and I know sometimes it's like super hard to do, but it's so, you just really need that in marriage to be able to overcome and persevere through all the things that you go through in your marriage. So definitely giving a lot of grace, and so that's what I got.
I do like the illustration though, like in the Bible with where Jesus and the church is like we're the bride of Christ. I think that's all that we mess up and do, and then all the grace that he gives us. Could we, I can't go, I know now that I couldn't survive a day without having Christ in my life, and I couldn't go a day without having Rachel in my life. So it's just this constant, it is a give and take, but I think it's a love and grace thing also.
One of the other things too is that we're so quick to point out the other person's faults, and we need to really take, and I think I've mentioned this before, take our
Inventory?
own kind of inventory of our own selves and stuff. And sometimes it's just pray instead of like on the attack or something, just even praying for them, even in the worst, even if there's something major going on with them, even if it's like an addiction or something. I mean, just keep praying for them. And I know, that God, hears our prayers, and, that even the Holy Spirit will convict. Like, I don't feel like it's our jobs to convict our spouses of all of these things, or sin or this and that. The Holy Spirit, that's his job. So I feel like just giving these things up to God, instead of kind of lashing out or pointing out everything that they're doing wrong, or that they're not this or that, or if there is some kind of sin or something. I feel like just giving that over to God and be praying for them, and I believe that God will change their hearts and open their eyes, and the Holy Spirit will convict them as well. So, anything else on that? You want to move?
Let's go to the next one.
All right, go.
Next one is so we've done to have and to hold, better, worse, again, richer and poorer, richer or poorer. It's a mouthful. Maybe that's why it's so hard. That's why that is a big cause of stress in so many relationships and marriage, and a point where we tend to base our worth and our security and our strength on the mighty dollar. That you see your neighbor in a nice shiny new truck, and your car is falling apart, or this person's got a better, you drive through a neighborhood, these people, the houses just that you couldn't even imagine stepping foot in, nonetheless living. And then you look at your house, or just you name it, that's a financial thing. But I think it could be, richer or poorer in love, or richer and poorer in anything. I don't really know. Maybe it doesn't have to always be money. But we've seen kind of one side, more one side of that.
We haven't really got to see the richer side yet, but it's a goal. Like,
we're rich in love. So, but it is when you don't have money, you don't know where the next meal's gonna kind of come, or what the bill's gonna pay, or I can skip out on this bill, we'll just pay it twice next month, or the whole robbing Peter to pay Paul, and this that we've done it. The checks, cash, early payday advances, we've done that. The food stamps, just borrowing from money, just doing whatever you can. Whatever, I guess in today's terms is whatever your hustle is. But we didn't even have a hustle. We just didn't. There were no side hustles. It was just full on go, and it's just, I think that we just fell into one trap into another, and sometimes it's like the debt way outweighed what we could even begin to pay off. And go ahead.
So I think where we can go with this, though, is, even when we're thinking, richer or poorer, and we're thinking financially, is that now we're at a place in our relationship where, we're still not at that richer side, I guess, but we're at a place now where we are not letting it affect every aspect of our life, of our marriage. So many marriages do wind up in divorce, and the number, one of the number one causes is money. And, to let money have that much of a hold over you, your life, your mind, your relationship, it's like, I'm not going to let money have that much power over, getting divorced over money. And, to me, that's kind of silly. But in the past, it has been a huge stress. It's, it's just burdensome. You have kids, and you don't have money for groceries, you don't have money for this, you don't know how you're going to pay this. So it is stressful, and I'm not denying that there's never been any stress, but I feel that we've come, with our relationship with God and with each other, and that we're not letting that, really affect our relationship or cause the fighting. Like, it had caused some major fights, like huge fights. What are you going to do? We don't have money, so might as well just scream at each other that we don't have money. I'm not. And, so we would just constantly fight and fight and fight over money. It didn't solve anything. It didn't get us more money. It didn't do anything besides stress us out more, because now we're fighting and we're still broke. And, so now it's almost like, you got to come together as a couple and try to get on the same page and see, work things out, try a budget, see, okay, this is what we make, and this is what we owe, and, trying to figure it out that way. And definitely praying. I've prayed over our bills before, and, just giving it to God, or asking God. Jeff had waited on a raise for years, and it was frustrating. He had finally recently got one, but, it's just praying about it, that God will either open another door, or, his job would give him the raise that he was due. So, giving these things up to God, your financial stress and financial things, and, just praying, sometimes it's debt, big debt, which we ended up in as well. And it was now we owe all these credit cards, and yet we don't have the money to pay them. Are we going to lose our house? So there's been so many different scenarios in our lives, you know, and we've just really had to lean on God. There's been quite a few times where it's like, are we going to lose our house? We're behind on mortgage, or, you know, this and that. And, you know, you get these expenses, you know, that you're not expecting at all. You know, that's going to happen. Car repairs, this, that, and the other thing. So I think now, though, that we're in a place that, you know, definitely money isn't going to affect our relationship, and we can come together without arguing to try to see, you know, and pray how we're going to come up with a solution for that. So that's kind of my take on that. I don't know if you got anything.
You took it all.
Took it all. Alrighty.
Let's I think on that note, we will come back the next time to finish this out with the. Well, I think we got a lot to say about that. So if you stuck around with us for the past 20 minutes, we thank you for your time, and remember to like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we will see you next time, where we'll talk about being sick and being healthy. So thank you guys. Have a blessed evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.